Hi, Filipe Leitão here, and I'm excited to introduce you to four horns for Kontakt Player. It comes with three instruments, the main one and two performers, one in 4/4 and another one in 6/8 time signature. I'm going to start with that main articulation instrument. In this instrument, we start with the long articulation. Powerful and bold for heroic moments, and you can adjust dynamics with your module wheel from something soft and warm to brassy sound. And there is one cool detail I add to that long articulation. If you play soft velocity, you have just a long patch. But then if you play a little bit harder with a high velocity, you also get an accent in the beginning of the note. Also, you have the close and room mics. You can add more reverb, more space. And even more saturation. Next, we have the staccato articulation. And with a wide dynamic range, so we can do pianos, mezzo forte, and fortissimo. Marcato, we have two different things here. We have the short and the long articulation. So if you play soft, you have a strong marcato, but short. As you can see here in the velocity indicator, if you play with a lower velocity, you have the short marcato. And then if you play with a higher velocity, you have the long marcato. Also, we have the FP with the same principle. FP short and FP long. And then long if I play with a higher velocity. The same way, sforzando. You have the shortest sforzando and the longest sforzando, and both are tempo synchronized. This is the long one and the short one. Then if I play harder with a high velocity. And the good thing is, as I said, they are tempo synchronized. If I set the tempo at 120, when I write this sforzando, it's gonna land exactly on the beat. Check this out. And then if I do that faster, let's say 140, also lands on the beat. So these sforzando are tempo synchronized. And I was doing, of course, the long sample, but I can also do the short sample with lower velocity. Basically, it covers 2 beats. The next one is the rip, or glissando. For this one, we have two dynamics, MF and FF, which is very typical for French horns. It's great to start a phrase, pick up, or something like that. That's very typical for French horn. And then we have 3 rhythmic sounds. 2 eighth notes. They are all also tempo synchronized. So if I do that faster. From piano to fortissimo. They are great for endings. We also have the triplet. And 2/16th note. And with all that articulations, you can create a dynamic and unique horn line. Check this out. You see how I was alternating the different articulations to create a rich horn line? I started with the long, and then switched to marcato, even sforzando, also the glissando. But what makes Ford horns so unique and different from any other horn library is the performances. Because each of that cells were actually performed, not programmed with like a bunch of staccatos in a sequence. So you get all the nuances of the performance. I'm going to start with the 4/4 performance. You get 12 different cells, but actually I'm going to show you, you get 24. This is the first one. And again, you have the close and the room mic. You can add reverb. You get all the nuances of the performance because we didn't record staccato and then put one staccato after the other. So you get that very natural sound. And why did I say you can get 24 actually? Because you can play the entire cell, that's 2 bars, right? To create rich accompaniments, but with that key switch here, you can play just the second half. So you can get just the second half of the cell. And the good thing about that is if you harmonize that, so let's say I'm gonna write a chord here. And see what's gonna happen. It's basically playing only the first bar because I'm triggering a different chord, right? Because I changed the chord. But if you use that 2 key switch here, what's gonna happen is I can play the first half, and then I can also play the continuation of that same cell. Because I activate the second half. So basically we have the full cell, even switching chords. The performances are all tempo synchronized. Of course, they work best between 100 and 130. That's the main purpose of horns, is for heroic action scores. So something between 100 and 140, 130, that's what would make more sense. You see, that's all tempo synchronized. So that's the first one, and we also have, as I said, many more. And of course, you can alternate between performances with the key switch. So you're going to have a really rich accompaniment. See how that works even in real time. And I have another page with 6 more performances. This is cool because you have 2 bars, the first bar with 8th note triplets and the second bar with quarter note triplets. So basically, if you play just the first half, you can get 8th note triplets as accompaniment. But you may decide to play only the second half. As I said, you can select only the second half, and then you have this. The next one. Now, even if you want something very simple with just quarter notes, I'm going to play just the second half of this performance. This is the next one. Eighth notes. And the last one. You can create a company with that, and then on the top of that, you can add a long line melody with French horn. And here you have the 6/8 performances. Next one. Check this out. And again, you can also play just the second half. With that, instead of 12 performances, you get 24. See how I alternate between the different performances? Yeah, and of course, you can use the key switch to do that. Next page, more variation. The next one. And the last one. And the other thing is you can combine, of course, you can alternate, have one bar with one performance, another bar with another performance. So you create a rich accompaniment, but also you can combine multiples, right? If you create multiple tracks. So you to have something richer like this. So this is in 6/8. You see that? I create a line in 6/8, and I have another line here in 6/8, playing a different performance against that first one. Then I have both playing together. Rich accompaniment, and on the top of this accompaniment I put that melodic line. So now check out just 4 horns playing. Bold, powerful, and heroic. And for this track I also used for the trumpet. Check out now both for the horns and for the trumpets, how they work very well together. And I also use for the low strings. Then everybody playing together, we have this. This is for horns for Kontakt Player. It's great for adventure and heroic themes, but also works for fantasy and action cues, noble and emotional orchestral writing. Hope you enjoyed that. See you in the next one.